The truth. Find your peace.
Is your nonprofit still losing part of ethics? Must have fired the sun power unit. The slightest error controlling the power unit.
Yeah, the white system ain't fucking with the black system. Oh, now the color change? Now the color matter? When I was growing up, it was the white Jesus. And every time I asked, why is he white? They used to say, it don't matter. The color don't matter. Because the truth don't matter. But the truth do matter. We need to stop all this fucking lying. Lying.
Thursday here at Augusta High School that led to Chris Wood's death. What is that? What's that? That is fucking Caltrans. Fuck that guy. Shit, man, in my mother. Okay, see, okay.
At this time, it was only at this time the news wasn't saying shit, but we was $8 trillion in debt in 2008.
Jet Hydro Wash. It's a battery-operated power washer that has the cleaning power to cut a watermelon in half. I was so fed up with writing. Question is, how do we speak about and plan for the inclusivity and diversity of opinion that we need to rebuild this country when those terms are being so demonized by the people holding power right now? And all of the young people here, I just pause for a moment and look around and look at, I'm especially talking about these old white guys who seem to disappoint us on a regular basis in this country, but not this group. So I got an 18-year-old Gus. I'm with Gus out there. I'm having one of those dad talks with him. I was giving Gus my wisdom on what he done wrong. I was being, because I know these things, right? I'm the dad. In the middle of it, he gives me the old, says the guy who got his ass kicked by Donald Trump. And I'm like, okay. Okay. Don't you think your party needs to acknowledge that President Biden was not up for the job of running for re-election and that this was a major mistake? He made that decision. I know, but you all went along with the idea that he was up for it and he wasn't. And everybody saw it, and the country rejected it. Wait. No, let's get out about the party of weirdos, freaks, low testosterone and high calorie women. In this video, we have to discuss Tim Walz, aka Tim Sugar Walz, aka Tim Von Tim, who I think really embodies the weirdos and low testosterone men part of what really defines the Democrat Party in 2025. Okay, because I'm telling you, I think this guy is a weirdo, right? This is the type of dude that will walk in the bathroom, okay, a public restroom, and he will probably take a piss right next to you, even though there are a ton of urinals available, right? He's going to take the one right next to you, turn around, look you directly in the eye to have a conversation about something that you don't give a damn about, and then he'll look down, right? That's the type of dude. Tim Walz is. There's no doubt in my mind that Tim Walz is that type of weirdo. Okay, so with that being said, we got to talk about this interview on CNN, which honestly I think was a pretty good interview. Okay, I got to give Jake Tapper some credit here. He actually asked Tim Walz questions that I think are some very pressing questions for the Democrats. Like, for example, Jake Tapper, the question, Tim Walz. For Democrats to double and triple down on what lost them the election. So Jake Tapper confronted Tim Walz on what he means by the Democrats should be more woke. Take a look. I want to play something you said at an event in Texas last month. We let them define the issue on immigration. We let them define the issue on DEI, and we let them define what woke is. We got ourselves in this mess because we weren't bold enough to stand up and say, you damn right we're proud of these policies.
Okay, here are your coordinates. Agent Johnson is our principal undercover asset in the Duggan organization. Her disappearance is a major threat to our investigation. I need you to track her down. She keeps the garage across town. Let's start there.
You just reject what you're telling, particularly on immigration. No, on immigration, what we're asking for is a bipartisan policy that strengthens immigration control, that recognizes that we need a workforce here, that they should be allowed to be here legally, and that when they get here, they're part of the American fabric. And that is the bipartisan bill we have done, snatching up college grad students and sending them back or sending folks to El Salvador illegally. That's not the policy. But for us to then say, we don't care to find criminals, and we will certainly do. What we were asking for is the resources to make sure they don't get here. And the same thing with the other policies. It's not a woke policy to provide food for children, to get breakfast and lunch, and to get better outcomes from that. They define things on their terms that weren't true. And what I'm saying is, are we going to turn away from being a country of legal immigration? Are we going to turn away from a country that thinks diversity and making sure that we don't have gaps in income between blacks and whites? Those are policies that have strengthened America. And I think what we allowed ourselves to do is we
have a look around. We think they might tell us what happened to her.
Things that improve people's lives. This whole idea, I think the Democratic Party gets theoretical. You know, talk about food insecurity. People are hungry, get food.
Bingo!
Make sure
See if you can find her.
That's what I'm saying. That's why people will die. Not your definition of guy. My definition is a rule of law that's there that everybody gets an opportunity. And that's the fundamental thing we have to make. Now, we'll help you through it. I'm not going to do what I can do. I'm not the best what they can do after just losing an election. But what I know is the public who saw it across the country this weekend, who they're rising up and asking their leadership to do stuff. Again, they're going to probably without the policy of that. I cannot believe it. But it's actually the game. No, okay, I'm just saying, like, this stuff is so bad, like, really bad politics that are making it crazy. Social, the grandma thing is the fact that some people, right, particularly out with the white thing. I mean, that is thing. And the governor of Minnesota, so, I mean, it makes a problem to get people with white women. So, I kind of get how this is. Right, so I actually do understand how you can go. Still, this guy is government down, all of the president down, right? Like, for example, we talk about immigration. We're involved. We get things that are very getting the hard to do. But guys are saying, well, you just asking for money. You stop me by the country, right? That's what you're asking. Okay? I'm saying that
As of now, Agent Johnson's recovery is considered a priority subtask in this operation. Standard remuneration package applies.
right? There you go. Yeah, to close the door. So Democrats and their excuses about, well, we need legislation. You can't do it without legislation. Purposely. Let order. Why? I mean, I can't even say that. Well, we just money. We just looking for money to help find the criminals. Okay, United States. It just doesn't make sense because you didn't need more money. Legislation to do it. You didn't find exactly how we made it so right. He just so right. Somebody will leave the Democrats. They come out here. They pretend that they're going to solve the war and that they're not going to allow MS-13 and strictly Obama into the United States. We're using the same people that are trying to demand that El Salvador bring back the gang members. Right? They're demanding it. Gang members being deported. Hey, maximum security prison. Well, we'll never have to deal with them again. Right?
Damn it, doesn't sound good. Start looking for Johnson immediately.
So what you're saying, Tim, does not match reality. It doesn't match your. And see, this is what I'm talking about when it comes to Democrats gaslighting the country. This is good. Here. Credit, he is going to act Bill Walsh specifically about that, right? And again, I think this part is a little fascinating because again, Jim Walsh is the question Democrats are facing. Let's get it. So the numbers are become embarrassing. Not here to say I told you so. Although God is saying about all the chaos. I would say I have to say though, what did I told you so really mean? People her message. They did not vote for her. They lost every ballot. You hear something criticizing her as also being caucus. She may have told people, she could have warned her people, but she didn't warn them, telling them not to win. That is the point. But when I criticize, I'm criticizing myself. I'm part of the ticket, and somebody has to come to a strategy. I think it's exactly right. This is the thing. Look, Democrats do the good night. We saw that happen. John, just to be clear, hopefully the Democratic side is celebrating it. Hopefully they're not celebrating it. Making all these errors. I think what the Vice President is saying is that was pretty self-evident. That I do think the Democrats, and this is, I think, a structural problem. It's going to take a lot more thinking. Why with all of that out there did they not think we were any better than that? And I the stay home. And people don't think, again, has identified their pain. They can't buy a house. They can't afford
Thank
to
God.
get education.
Did Bernard send
They're
you?
concerned that their future is so precarious.
Disciplinary matter.
We need to get out of here now.
And I think
We have two groups of hostiles, cartel soldiers, possible links to Marabunta Grande, and Duggan personnel. They are hostile to each other and us. We need to evacuate this area and regroup. Stat.
Get her out of there. And remember, local law enforcement are not in the loop for this operation. You're on your own. Just don't get caught.
Today, they don't have a yeah, so again, this one does not understand that it's a lie. They're not lying to it's practical.
I thought I was dead back there, for sure. How the heck did you find me? Recent GPS locks on my car? That was good work. They told me I was headed for a deal. Figured it's business as usual, no clue they'd make me. I just had time to map it out. The next thing I know, there's a black bag over my head. I think they were planning to sell me as leverage to the cartel. I don't know what the hell happened. As the deal went south, people started dropping left and right. We got there just in time. Shit. So are you new? I don't recognize you. Thank you anyway. Just give me a second to get my shit together, okay? So I'm guessing you're on the Duggan Romp? Let me tell you, this stuff goes way deeper than our models predicted. It's got bureau written all over it. I was so close to putting it all together before my cover got blown. Anyway, here's what I can tell you. The Duggans are putting together some kind of next-gen computer software. That's how they're fixing the price of gas. This thing is exploiting backdoors everywhere, including the goddamn Bossack data center. It's manipulating trade prices, supply, demand, shipment delays, rating agencies, public oversight mechanisms, you name it. It's even pushing panic buying using bots on social media. The Duggans already have most of the tech they need, and they're out to buy even more from the FIB's confiscated items. Whatever's going on, we need to move on it fast. Eyes open! We've got a lot of heat. Move them now. We can't have local law enforcement all over this.
And I'm not saying this because it's a good thing that the stock market is fine. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that I understand what's wrong with the plan, and that the stock market take a short-term hit to give middle America who do not invest in the stock market some relief. Right? They don't benefit from the inflation that in the stock market, right? So you can use some of that in order to give other people relief, okay? For a period of time until you pass the tax cut to get other stuff going. But it's country, right? To me, again, Democrats share more the fact that President Trump is bringing down that gas prices are coming down, that things are getting cheaper.
Are you trying to get us killed?
And because they're using them, why are they not getting more? It's because they're more rich. And they're not poor. The middle class is working class, right? That's not what they're for. So yeah, this is why the Democrats having 21% approval rate. Actually, lower than what it's the wall site. He said 29%. Nah, it's 21%. It's 21%. And there's no way that President Trump's approval rate is going to get that low, right? I don't think it's going to get that low. In fact, if you have that approval rating, you'll be on the rise. Well, like, what is that Tip-Off is not intelligent enough to realize that doubling down on woke and doubling down on the nonsensical policy that led to the Democrats losing is not going to help the party, right? But that's what he's calling for. While at the same time, he's flabbergasted about, wow, people are eating so low. Well, you're doubling and tripling down. You're fucking doubling and tripling down on something that didn't work. That's why your approval rate is low. So, again, this guy is just one of the dumb politics that I've ever seen. What do you make of the criticism that one of the reasons why the party is so protected by the members because Democrats are just like saying that inflation was not a big deal. Heralding Bidenomics, not only Biden, but Kamala Harris was heralding Bidenomics, pretending that there was a problem at the border. And then fundamentally, this idea the President Biden is up for another 4 years of the job while America, poll after poll, for year after year, was saying he's too old to the job. Your party stood against all of those things. Look, Joe Biden had coming in and being a governor. Did a hell of a job. And I think one of the things that he didn't do was he assumed that, and it was true,
Hey,
that we were
did you
going
even
to
pass the agency driving course?
better than the rest of the world. Better for who? Better for the working class, who the same groceries were too expensive as they are now going up. They got to see us talk about things. Again, I go back to this. Don't talk about food insecurity or housing type of issues. talk about people being angry, wondering whether
I
they don't
feel
care about their children's
a little
about
faint.
food security.
Could you take me to
So
the
I think
hospital?
the question is spot on.
Debrief's gonna
I
have to
think
wait.
we got collectivized on this. I think the fact of the matter
Thanks.
is Joe Biden
Again.
did soft
Hopefully my
land the
intel
economy.
fills in
He
some of the
did
blanks. I'm
usher
sure
us
you'll get a
through
copy of the
None
mission
of us
report.
are saying we should
Good work
soft
today.
on the border.
Now having
But we
successfully
allow a
undertaken.
vacuum, and Donald Trump fills it, the 800-pound gorilla, and their narrative starts to stick, and we look weak. We look weak like we don't care. We look like we could. Look, Jake, I'm not going to say, we need to do it. We need to just arrest people and ship them to El Salvador. No, we need to invest the money on border. We need to make sure that we have the judges necessary to adjudicate things faster. We need to make sure if you're going to be in this country, you're legally, when you are, you're going to be uplifted, celebrated as part of this great American tapestry. We didn't do that, and then it builds them. They'll find the example that is horrific, where you have someone who's not here legally and they commit a crime. That is horrific, but we don't do a good job of telling them.
Wow. Well, again, Tim Walz, no specifics, only platitudes, slogans, right? I mean, that's all this dude is. He's just platitudes and slogans. That's all he is. He's saying, well, Joe Biden is soft landing the economy. Well, what does that mean? Well, what that means, what soft landing means, what he's referring to actually is the policy of the Federal Reserve, right? That's not actually something that Joe Biden did, okay? Basically, the Federal Reserve decided that, hey, they're not going to raise interest rates as high as they should have raised interest rates while inflation was peaking in order to stamp out inflation. No, they didn't do that because they didn't want to hurt Biden's economy too much, okay? So what happened was that they did not raise interest rates high enough or fast enough when inflation was rising, which led to inflation lingering around a lot longer than it should have been lingering around. Ultimately, it led to a point where we still have inflation, elevated inflation, but our GDP growth is not outpacing inflation, which is staggering. Okay, the prediction for GDP growth in the first quarter of the year is not a result of Trump's tariffs or any of Trump's policy, anything like that. That's what the media is not telling us, right? That actually is a result of Biden. Like, and that's regarding the thing that we're seeing right now. Real effects of Biden's lingering economy. We are seeing some turnaround because of policies, like, for example, most recent jobs report that overperformed massively, where they got regarded of jobs that was rated were in the private sector. Right? They were in the private sector. They were not in the public sector, which Biden was propped up by excessive government spending, making government jobs that don't actually produce anything. And they got the most inflationary type of thing, right? Which is these jobs that literally don't produce anything, right? It's like these jobs that actually produce things, okay? That actually contribute to real production, okay? That's how the Biden was doing. Mr. Trump is doing it. So again, when you look at the fact that the economy right now is predicted to contract, okay? That's not a result of Trump policy, that's a result of Biden policy, and that's a so-called soft landing that we've been trying to predict. We can't actually do that, right? How do you take stagflation? We should have used a real more assessment of the and then we did it at credit because they got the point and said, no, we actually weren't at 100%, right? It's not a real fight. Even though it should have been a recession, we should have went way more of a recession. And the true global recession, we should have. In 2022, okay, maybe the early part of 2023, we did have rather than to do the easy thing, which was the airport keep spending money, keep popping off big dollars, right? Keep up money to take it, right? Well, let's keep doing that. That will add to inflation. Continuing to legal right. It sort of kept inflation, okay? Like it's sort of like it. So, again, people don't understand fundamentally that Democrats do not have credibility. They don't have credibility on any of these issues, okay? Because they gas the country so much. And that's what Tim Walz is refusing to acknowledge. The party needs to acknowledge that President Biden was not up to the job of running the reelection. This was a major mistake. How do you make that decision? You know, but you all care. If you don't think it's about it, it's that. It's just, they make that decision. Well, you know. wonderful. It means the more we will get, we will get people, right? And that's the thing we get before. They're basically saying that, yeah, why is it so mentally incapacitated that we can't even say, if we do this, and that's what some part of the other thing is. Right? If you get this, yes. I just trying to say, not nothing is okay. See, hey, they found a way. Come on, go ahead and look at the time. And it's not to say, hey, and again, this is why we don't have any credibility. And it's not what they want to do, right? This is why you're formulating it. Is it the same? This is why they don't trust you. Somebody these out these great big right? This is what I believe. Again, Tim Walz is not intelligent enough. That's the funny part about it. It's hilarious. Really wants it. Everybody saw it. When the country rejected it. Yeah, well, Israel coming to back on that. That's not very good. You can get what I think about it. But it's going to be like what people never do again. They can say, make sure we get through, get someone. But I don't think that I'm going to go forward. I certainly think it's going to be moving up because reflecting all that and acknowledging what happened is the step toward being credibility. This government said nobody can not have credibility. Any credibility is what it is supposed to. But they're not the corporation the big right? And that's the safety. Because he's going to make this about Trump, right? It's not about the fact that Democrats doing the punishment they make say, yes, come on. Yes, we covered it up. We're sorry. Right. We're sorry for doing it. That is the first mistake they should have done. That is the first mistake. That's the first thing they should have done. If they look the credibility, thank God. Donald Trump was the most really Trump statements about. I don't think we can really do that. I guess there was nothing in the he's having an issue in this really impacted. And if there is not a royal position, if there's not some closure from the other side, if there's not reaching out to those folks who are in the streets, there's quick question, because we got to go. But you said you're not going to run for the Senate seat there. Are you going to run for a third term for governor? Or are you possibly going to run for president in 2028? Well, I'm certainly thinking of running again in Minnesota. That's the big one. I'm not thinking about running in 2028. If in this moment we're planning for 2028, you're going to get rolled by the people in the streets. You just need to be out there making sure you're helping it. Doing things like border workers doing, and things like Bernie Sanders, AOC, things that these people out talking about. But for me, we just wasn't good executive. If the folks in Minnesota want me, I'm kind of inclined to do that. And I just want to play my part to make sure we cannot afford to go out and the success of the board to consider the thing. Yeah. So you see that liberal, not the right, kid, black politics, transportation, guys, take all of it, right? The global movement, they double and triple down on gas lighting, double and triple down on line, double and triple down on everything. Please, do all of those things. Right? Because ultimately, at the end of the day, those things will lead to Democrats never revive the party. It's not scared. You really do. So, look at that thing. If you like to get subscribe, those boys here, they'd like to put it in you. I mean, in the end, that's really what we're doing. It's like, hey, I can make a couple $1 million this year, and not